Monday morning blues and stomach's not feeling so well. Pants too tight, I think. So I guess this is a solstice or something. I looked up. What's his name?
Say a command.
Prince. It turns out that he's no longer with us since 2016. Fentanyl. What is this fentanyl they're talking about? Man, I'm glad I got away from that stuff before that stuff hit the streets. As if heroin wasn't bad enough, right? They had to boost it up some more. I don't know. Let me see if this is some kind of solstice. Is there some kind of solstice in September? There isn't solstice in September, instead an equinox. Oh, it's equinox. It's the autumn equinox, fall equinox today. Maybe that's why I'm feeling the blues. Equal lengths of day and night for everyone on earth. March and September. So, remember I told you what was going on with crypto? And I said 70% chance it'll go down to 108. I said 30% chance it'll skyrocket. I said probably up to 120. So it's pretty close to 108 already. It's 113, actually 112.8. And so that's pretty good. That's a pretty good estimate. Okay? Let me see if what's his name's on right now and see what he has to say about it. Let me check real quick. It's sitting at 113.0. So that's pretty close. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It was sitting at what? 117. So it dropped 5. So it'll probably still drop some more down to 108. So just got to keep watching on it. But money wise, a lot of money went out of it. The high spot I think was 4.17. So that's $170 billion. And right now it's sitting at 0.9. So basically $170 billion went out. People took their money out. And so that's a lot of money. That's a big drop. So right now it's time to buy a little bit. And then if it goes down more, buy a little bit more. Right? So Ethereum is way low. Doge took a big old giant dump. Okie dokie, even though it's got the what they call ETFs. Doge just got an ETF. What's that? External traded funds or something like that. Exchange traded funds or something. So yesterday there was a channel out of Oklahoma, and it's a new channel. He had about 20 people in the room, I think, and they're up in western Oklahoma. So it's one of these one-horse towns. I think the population is 10,000 or 9,000, right around there. And there was 3 people in there sitting on the couch. One girl was sitting there with some black shorts on. So there was a lot of people checking her out. I think that's the only reason why the comments got lit and the viewership started really taking off. But these the other ones are doing pretty good too. So yeah, it's Monday Morning Blues, September. It's an equinox today. And what's going on? Well, there's an electric car right now. It's got 70-mile range. It's a subcompact, not a sedan. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. And $3,000. I think it's $3,000 or $3,500. So that's a pretty good price. And not only that, but you also get $7,000 from rebate if you buy a used EV. Supposedly only until the end of this month. Then they're supposed to stop the rebates. I mean, the incentives, whatever you call them. So you'd basically be getting the car for free, right? But I'm not good at that red tape. You know, filling out paperwork and sending in the paperwork. So I'm on vertical mode, vertical live feeds, because I tried going on horizontal right now and it didn't work. Yeah, but it's so what's going on? I was listening to these people. I was checking out a few channels yesterday. There was a few people, new people going on live. And while this guy out of Oklahoma, he's a heavyset guy, and the girl was heavyset too. But he was talking about this Charlie. I just call him Charlie. You know who he is. The guy who just got taken out. And he was saying, yeah, you know, oh, Charlie is this and that, you know. saying good things about it. And to me, I just don't go for that kind of stuff. I mean, to me, it's just 100% not the same birds of a feather. They say birds of a feather flock together. That is totally not. I don't fly with that stuff. Um, because they're phony. I was watching the one lady doing the eulogy or whatever you call that, and she's sitting here with, fake tears and stuff. I don't know how some people, you know, they jive with that. I don't know how they jive with that phony stuff, right? It's not sincere. But anyhow, the channel had a few moderators, and they were kicking people out left and right. And I left a comment. I said, anybody pulling for him is gonna catch hell from the trolls. And but anyhow, so he was like, he's for the orange man, he's for Charlie. And so I asked him, I said, what about Elon? I said, do you like him too? And so he answered the question. He says, yeah, I think he's a pretty good guy. He did a lot for the such and such and such. And so I asked him, I said, you guys got any bluegill up there? Right? And he said, I had to ask twice. And he said, yeah, he says, we got bluegill, we got sturgeon, we have trout, we have catfish, whatnot. So apparently, it's a fishing gold mine there in Oklahoma. And the western part, I guess I don't know, let me look at the map. But yeah, so they don't want to lose their stuff to all the people coming into the United States. But it's too late. And where did I put that other phone? Right here. Let me see exactly which states are surrounding them. Go to maps, and my stomach is, oh man. I ate that can of menudo last night, and I just poured the oregano into it. The first half of the can was really good, but the second half, didn't have very much tribe in it. And then I poured too much lemon in it, completely turned the soup white. And so I don't know. Maybe that's why my stomach is. But yeah, because I had two of the pot pies. I gave half to the doggies. There's a whole bunch of ugly little dogs. I don't know where they came from, but they look like they look like a pack of wild boar that I put out half of the pot pie. It was turkey. I think though that's probably what does, turkey usually does that, huh? But I had a chicken pot pie and a turkey pot pie, menudo, and I had that cinnabon, which I won't be having no more of those. It's a crying shame that they actually got rid of Dairy Queen for Cinnabon. And, or even they used to have donuts. I forget which company that was. There was a donut company. I don't remember the name of it. But I think the reason why they done that is because Cinnabon, it's just a little small oven. They're trying to cut down on the overhead. And, there's no comparison to Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen had banana splits, all kinds of stuff. But anyhow, let me take a look at this map and see where they're at. They were in Woodward, Oklahoma. So let me see exactly where that's at here. Okay, yeah, it's over by Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. Yeah, there's this little place I've been out there called Ponca. I think Ponche or Ponca. Only been there once. I was working for this one company and they ripped me off bad. And all the way over to the East Coast and back through there, and they sent me over to Ponche, and wrote me out a check for $1,000. That was pathetic. Ripped me off for like $1,000. And I'm not the only one. You think that's why God is doing that to the whatchamacallit? Anyhow, I'll start a live feed back in a little while. Maybe. Maybe not. Let me read the comments here. So, I was about to do a video yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. And I was going to do a video and talk to, what's his name? Alex. And I don't mean Alex Jones. He's got a YouTube channel called, and I was going to tell him about this stuff that's going on with hours of service, truck driving hours of service. They change it like a girl changes clothes. Okay? And I told you it's 100% horse shit. Maybe not 100%. For new drivers, yeah, that's different. But seasoned drivers who've been driving for 10 years, it's a slap in the face to your intelligence. And well, what they really need to do is backhand the people who are enforcing the law, because they pick and choose. Okay? Some of them are freaking bozo clowns, where others, like I heard this one up here on the Interstate 5, he just doesn't even want to, look at it. Which is pretty cool, but some of them are freaking bozos. I can tell you one who's a freaking bozo. He took my logbooks, which I keep very good records. I'm sitting here, been driving for 20 years, and this freaking clown takes all my stuff and starts going through it with a fine-tooth comb like a freaking idiot. Then he writes up, you know, like I was lying, tries to make it out like I was lying about something. What a freaking clown, man. But anyhow, so I was gonna bring this issue up to Alex's attention because every truck driver across the whole United States, I think there's 2 million of them, every last one of them listens to Mother Trucker. They watch him on YouTube. And I was going to bring this to his attention because I've got a small book with all the rules, all the regulations, and I've got the big book that the law enforcement has. And I was going to bring it to his attention that it's a joke. The only reason they get away with it is because none of these people out here are educated. It has to be. No other industry would put up with this crap. And, they're supposedly supposed to have some lawyers on their side, but it's basically like the FDA. The FDA is supposed to protect the consumers, but they're not. They're protecting the multi-billion-dollar industry, the multi-billion-dollar companies. This is the same thing this supposedly group who's supposed to be protecting the truck driver is. It's the same thing. And basically kind of like the Teamsters. The Teamsters are the ones who want the crap. They're the ones who push for it. It's kind of like that mad mother against. But I was going to bring this to his attention because it's a freaking joke. I finally went in and found some different stuff. Not to get too specific, but the federal regulations are different than the state regulations. And I finally found the state regulations. But it's a freaking joke because the big book, I was going to show him the book with all the federal regulations on it. It doesn't even have a publication date on it. That's how freaking bogus it is. And anyhow, let me read the comments. But yeah, for new drivers, I can understand that. But drivers who've had 10 years experience, they should have an option to where, when they go to DMV or whatever, they should have an option to where they can opt out of this crap, where it tells you when you could sleep and when you cannot sleep and all this bull crap. What makes it so bad is that it's selective. They cherry pick who they want to enforce the law on. That's what makes it so bad. They give all this power to these freaking bozos. So anyhow, let me read the comments. Yeah, bluegill is good fish. Like right around here, there used to be a pond that had bluegill in it, a little man-made pond. And everyone around here fishes out of the California aqueduct, where they have catfish, but I don't even know if catfish. I pulled the catfish out of there. It stunk. I mean, it stunk bad. But the fish that are in there in the canal, the California aqueduct, is called striped bass. So it's not really that good. But bluegill is good. And so I guess they got good fishing up there in Oklahoma. They got little lakes everywhere, I guess. It rains all the time. So let me take a look at these comments. Oh yeah, there was another channel. There was another channel, man. Yesterday. And this person it was like their first time going on live on these live feeds. And 4 people watching. That's pretty good. Galia took off. I know I've been checking out the retention. There hasn't been that much retention. But Galia said they're taking off, doesn't give a reason. Umar says to Akbar, can you say, or how about just a bunch of weird comments in here. How would you please see the brain things? How would you please? Man, I wish YouTube would do that suggestion to where people leaving a comment could leave a video comment, right? Because you don't know if the person, I mean, it doesn't have to be to where everybody else sees the person. They could, cross that bridge when they get to it later. But for right now, this is the 20th century, or 21st century, 22nd century. They should have it. It would sure do a lot of good for, people dealing with trolls. I know a lot of people don't, but some people probably do. I know I do. But what was I gonna do? Oh yeah. So there was this lady. Oh man, I gave it away. I was trying to keep the identity private. And she starts talking about, this and that. And I'm like, it's bad enough that you have multi-billionaires, coming on here being hypocrites, saying, oh, this and that, right? Multi-billionaires. And there's freaking garbage, homeless people living out, freezing in the elements, right? In their hometown. And people can't see this? So this lady comes out, and I don't know what the hell she's trying to do. But she started saying some stuff, and I'm like, I said, you know what? I said, the churches are infested with reptilian shapeshifters, aka Lucifer and the fallen angels. Okay? They're a bunch of hypocrites. They don't do nothing. I said, the power is out on the streets. What are you doing for the homeless people? I said, talk is cheap. And then I just said something and I just went off the channel. But I came back and looked at the channel and she was just like, man. But, you know, people are starting to catch on to these freaking hypocrites. Little by little. So got some Oregon here. This is Oregonite, starting to turn a little bit yellow. This stuff that it's in, this is called resin. You know, when you get a car that's being repaired, body work, they use Bondo. Well, that's resin. Okay? And I think it was, well, probably DuPont invented it, right? But I think it was invented by extraterrestrials. They're the ones who invented it, the acrylic. Okay, some people call it acrylic. It's resin, and it's like plastic. They make jewelry out of it. But this is what's needed to make Oregon. You just take metal shavings, copper or aluminum, and you mix it in with Oregon. It's called Oregonite. They don't want people to know about this. They can make it look all fancy and pretty and stuff and make it into pyramids or whatever, but really it doesn't really need all that stuff. You can buy them on YouTube cheap. I mean on eBay cheap. You can get like a dozen of them for $6 or something. There was this eccentric millionaire and he made 10,000 of them and went through all, throwing them over by the cell phone towers, changing negative bad energy into good energy. And they don't want you to know about this. And the person who invented it, his name is Wilhelm Reich. And they put him in prison in Pennsylvania because it affects the third largest industry in the United States. It was reducing their customers. Namely, it was making people better. Well, this is what they were doing. If you do research on Wilhelm Reich, you'll find out about that. And Wilhelm Reich said that the reason why people are nuts, neurotic, unlike Sigmund Freud, who had different, ideas and said different things about what makes people nuts. Wilhelm Reich said what it is pent up sexual tension. That's what's making people nuts. And they put him in prison because he took this thing, this Oregon, and he made a big one. They got pictures of it. And it's basically, you just take copper pipes, like 12-foot copper pipes, and you take a wire, a cable, you tie it to the pipes, like you're going to ground it out, right? And you take it and you put the cable into a running stream of water. And you aim it at the sky and it'll make clouds and make it start raining. This is absolutely documented in in newspapers. He saved the blueberry crop over in Maine, in the United States, by using this device to make it rain. He also used the device in Arizona. They have pictures. Aim it at the sky, and it makes it start to rain. And so they set him up and told him, don't you dare move that device out of the state of Arizona. Somebody else who was probably an agent provocateur, an agent pretending to be, on his side or whatever, they went over and took the machine and moved it out of Arizona. So the court, United States court, told him, you better get your butt over here in court, because we got something to talk to you about. And Wilhelm Reich said, in the name of science, I'm not showing up to court. Right? And so he didn't show up to court because he knew they were all a bunch of bozos. And that's why he wrote the book. He wrote this book. It's called Listen, Little Man by Wilhelm Reich. It's just a little small book. You can find it on eBay or maybe on Amazon. And he's told what these people are all about. And they put him in prison. Just like that. 6 months later, he was done. And on his birthday. And so that's why they don't want you to know about orgone. I think probably he was an extraterrestrial himself. And so there was this person, his name was Don Croft. He and his wife, Don and Carol Croft. You can go on YouTube and check them out. They were taking these devices and throwing them everywhere. They were going around in Idaho, the lakes in Idaho, throwing them in the water and stuff. All the secret intelligence agencies, FBI was on them like flies on rice. Big time. They were following them everywhere. So Don was out in Washington, which is not far from Idaho, and he was into ultralights. A whole bunch of them would fly these ultralight. They're the real small aircraft. And he was out gliding. He was using a glider this time, to where you just jump off of a mountain, right? And somehow or other it went down, and so they sent the emergency response people out there, and they hauled him off to some place in Seattle or Washington State, somewhere around there, and he didn't make it. And I couldn't believe it, really. And I made a YouTube, and I said, you watch what happens to Carol, right? I said, they're all over her like flies on rice. You could see the people who are hanging around with her. You can spot them, if you've studied the stuff. And it must have been like a year later, she was gone. Didn't even hear a word about it on the internet. I had just, I said, wonder what's Carol up to, right? And then there, checked it, she's gone. And yeah, so orgone, some interesting stuff. I think it's from the extraterrestrials. And so, yeah, it's September. I guess this is the end of summer. Um, Today's the equinox, 22nd. And so I'll check in a little bit later. Try to use this old handy dandy here to come up with some topics to talk about. And so maybe later on today. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. This is the free flow of information. It's worldwide. Billions of dollars in this technology. Let's use it. And so I posted Willie D live on YouTube. I posted him to my Facebook because he made some comments on the Orange Man and Charlie. And you know, I don't know, you know, there's like these one people out in Oklahoma, and they're rooting for these people, and other people are absolutely 100% against it. And so there's some stuff going on in the United States, and it's been going on for a long time. And so now, going on over in the UK, to me, the UK looks crazy. I mean, you go to some places around here that are bad. There's no racial diversity. And it's awful. The vibe, the ambience, you can feel it. It's not just me saying it. You can listen to people who have studied this stuff. They'll tell you. You can feel it. It's a vibration. And if you just walk into an area where there's bad people, you can feel it. Even if the people aren't around, and you walk into a room where those people are all the time, this is almost like spiritual, right? Even if they're not there, you can't see them, and you walk into the room, you can feel it. There's vibrations. And so people are entitled to their opinion, but I don't see how they rock with that. I don't see how people rock with people who are being deceitful and not genuine. The fake tears. How do they rock with that? It's a bird of a feather, I guess. But anyhow, I've got this idea, I told you, for someone who has the wherewithal. I've got this idea, so I think I may be presenting this information pretty soon, and to bring some change to this area. Now, a lot of people right now are really, really don't like what's going on with this country right now, right? I was telling people 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I was telling people there's 18 of them to every one of us. We're only 300 million people in the United States. There's billions of people around the globe, and they're all coming here. And sociology told you that it was a done deal 15, 20 years ago. They were telling you, these people, that they weren't listening. And so you know, a lot of people are really dogging these foreigners who are, you know, in truck driving, who are in the trucking industry because of this thing that happened over in Florida. And so, you know, everybody's dogging them, calling them, you know, flip flops. I bet they had flip flops on and this and that. And that actually made a law now. You can't drive with flip flops. They were all wearing flip flops. And and so so they're catching a lot of hell right now. And you know, when you walk into the travel centers, where you fuel up and you take a shower, use the bathroom, get your food, whatever, you can tell they're tripping out. And so I was up to this one place the other day, and I there was this other truck coming this way, and you know, you're only doing like 1 mile an hour. And so the guy had his window rolled down, and it was two of these foreigners were in the truck. And he looks at me and he goes something like this, right? Goes, and I'm like, that's a weird body language gesture. And so maybe a day or two later, it dawned on me what he was doing. He was giving, because they mimic everything. They mimic all behavior. So he was just mimicking what, you know, obviously some trucker had done to him, like, back to your country, or right. That's what he was doing. It's, you know, hilarious. But anyhow, I'll try and get some topics to talk about. But the biggest thing I'm working on right now is presenting this information to somebody to change this area. Because even though a lot of people don't like these, you know, foreigners coming in,
Say a command.
A change will do you good. Okay? That's the way I see it. So stay tuned. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in.